All right, so I have a little extra time in the art studio before I need to head back to the land of parenting. So I'm going to work on this project a little bit and we'll see how far I get. I have all of these ink bleeds that I cut out of a book that I made with rice paper in a prior class. And then I'm going to use some PVA glue to glue them down, and I'm going to let the composition kind of build itself organically, and we're just going to see where it goes. And then chances are I'll go back into it with some ink just to kind of help unify the pieces. But each piece or part of a piece came out of, it came as like a collection of pieces through the flip book. So here's what remains of the flip book. So now you just kind of go through, and I chopped up the bits that I really liked to make something new. So I've got my PVA glue, I've got a palette that I kind of reuse for stuff. I have an older brush, and the PVA glue is going to work really great because I can kind of put it down on the paper and over the paper as I build this up. And it feels really good to be getting into some collage work again, because it's been a while. Oops. Theoretically, it should bleed through, but it's been a while since I watched the class videos. So we'll see. Oops. Maybe we'll just do a little bit to kind of tack it down. This isn't a terribly precious piece, but it's the final part of the class, and I have a bunch of other classes that I want to take and only so much time. So we're gonna build this one quickly, but have a lot of fun doing it. And rice paper wasn't something that I had ever used before that I know of. I think when I was teaching in person, we had some, but like leftover from the previous teacher, or maybe donated at some point. We had a lot of paper donations, which was really amazing, but you kind of ended up with papers you didn't quite know what to do with, which was kind of great because we used them for whatever we wanted to use them for. We didn't worry too much about it, because it has a familiar texture to me, but this class was definitely the first time I'd bought rice paper. So if that's something that you've used before, comment below. I would love to hear how you use it, what you think about it, and because I'm always curious as like how other artists use materials and why they use certain materials or brands or whatever. I do really like the transparency quality of it, because that's something in my digital art that I enjoy playing with too. It's just doing a lot with layers and transparencies and kind of erasing through and building up and seeing what happens. The hard part about this is that the paper is very delicate, but I like the folds that are happening. I worked quite a bit with tissue paper when I was in college doing my undergraduate art degree, and I really enjoyed watering down glue and playing with layers of tissue paper, different colored tissue papers, onto canvases. And actually I have one, I'll show you. It's too big to fit on my desk, but you can kind of see there, and this isn't my favorite one. I don't know where my favorite one is right now, but this was tissue. It was a acrylic painted canvas and then tissue paper with watered down Elmer's, I believe, and then torn up newspaper so that I could use the texture from the text. And then the color vanished on a lot of the tissue papers depending on I think the dye that they used. But so in theory, this isn't a foreign concept to me, but it is different in the sense that I haven't done it in a long time, and I didn't do it with rice paper. and ink, I did it with tissue paper and acrylic paint and Elmer's glue. So what I'm kind of doing is very loosely kind of lining up some design elements. You know, these dots were areas that had bled through from page to page, and I'm kind of connecting the dots, as it were, and kind of creating longer lines with them based on what I've got. Whoops, just got PVA glue on the laptop. It's probably something every artist deals with, right? How to protect your technology while you're in the art studio. But that's okay. It'll be all right. And then, like I said last time, this paint, I love reusing materials, and I have tons of partially painted on watercolor sheets that I use when I'm creating, film classes, like for my Skillshare work. So when I want that whiteness, because my desk is a metal desk. It's, you know, it's not very pretty, but it's wonderful. I love it. It was my father-in-law's desk at his work, so it's very special that it's become my art studio desk. But when you're making those classes, you want that bright white underneath your artwork for when you're, you know, when you're filming and demonstrating. So we burn through a lot of paper, but this is a great way to use it up again. Oops, I almost put it in my water cup. Which wouldn't have been the end of the world. Better than my coffee cup. But you don't want PVA glue in your coffee cup. Now this is great because I've got the dots from the newest laid down sheet, and then because there's a bigger chunk of rice paper, I could have torn that off, but I'm just gonna let it keep going. So it creates kind of this really cool ghost image that I love so much. All right, now I've got to kind of decide where are we going here. We'll just go over here. I'm gonna put a little bit of PVA glue down to start the initial stick, because that seems to be working better. And then go ahead and layer it over the top and let it soak through the rice paper to adhere itself to the paper behind it, underneath it. So this class was really fun because it was about building up images based on ink bleed through. So we were very intentionally hiding the ink bleed through. So like the dots were created by holding a larger marker to the surface of the paper, and the longer you held it, the more bleed through you had. And then also just kind of drawing with Sharpies and microns and whatever other ink pens I had around. I've got a Panda Fly set of pens that I think I did most of the black line with that I really love. They have a great range of tips to them. They've got like small, medium, and large, and then there's a brush pen tip and a micron style tip, and then also some and then like the micron style tip but with a wedge to it, which is pretty cool. So you can do lots of different stuff with them. They're upstairs right now in my other arting area. I've developed several arting areas in the house. So I have a studio and I love it down here, but with small kids and a job teaching online, and this year especially, I've just needed to find more spaces to create because my time to create is so chopped up. So I have, you know, magical days like today where I can get into the art studio, and I took a class earlier today on Zoom, and then with food illustration using watercolor and ink, and then I had a little extra time where Kyle's playing with the boys and kind of keeping them busy outside while he takes care of our many, many leaves. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stay down here for a little bit longer and wrap up some stuff. Oops. But on the days where I'm working, you know, I'm I'm online all day as an online art teacher. So when I take breaks, I can't exactly quickly, getting down to the studio isn't a quick break. So what I did was I put a desk in upstairs in the kitchen that was originally supposed to be for work, for teaching online, and it's quickly become another art studio area. And I'm very lucky that Kyle is such an amazing supporter of my artist career, and he doesn't mind that art is everywhere. So it's great. So I can, I've got supplies easily accessible up there. If I want to, jump on Draw with me during lunch hours on Thursdays, I can take a break for that. If I've got, if I'm taking like a 15-minute break from grading and answering emails, I can, I can add a little bit to a collage here or a sketch page there, or this month I can, work on getting my Inktober stuff done, or at least, start sketching out some ideas. Oops. It's all right. We're going to let that change. No, just kidding. We're going to let that come back. So yeah. So where do you create? How do you find time to art when it's not here? I would love it to be my full-time career. That would be amazing. But I also love teaching. So I don't want to, I don't want to give up teaching my high school students. But if you're not a full-time artist, or even if you are, where are you creating? Where do you work? How do you, make space for your art in amidst everything else that's going on? I'd love to know. So feel free to comment below. Share a picture. If you post a picture of your studio space, tag me on Instagram or Facebook. I would love to see it. It's so fun to see where other artists are working and their creative space. It's just it helps you get a better feel for them as an artist and their journey in, this ongoing thing, right? We're artists, so we never stop learning. We never stop growing. I hope none of you are ever stopping the journey of creating and exploring and experimenting and trying new stuff. And that was a big part about why I wanted to start a YouTube channel, just because I love this. I love, as a teacher and an artist, I love sharing my artistic process, and I love the community of artists that we've been able to create in so many different ways online. And this is just another avenue of connecting and sharing what I'm up to with anyone who cares to watch, in the hopes that you'll also make space for art in your life. No matter what it is you may also do. Let's see. I don't want to think too much about it. I just kind of want to keep just laying stuff down. Zero planning here, other than knowing the materials I was going to use, that this was a project that I didn't want to rush it to get it done, but it's been on my, my mental to-do list for artwork for a long time. So it was time. And I spent a whole day, not a whole day, I spent a work break preparing to get back into this. And then I didn't. It's still sat on my desk for like a whole nother, I don't know, feels like weeks. Maybe it hasn't been weeks, but it felt like it took a long time. But at least it was out. It was out here ready to go for when I had time. And today was the perfect day to do it. And I really like what's happening, but I'm very excited to kind of recreate some of these line quality sections and color choices, maybe with some other media after this dries. Maybe I'll go in and I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. And now as I'm running out of space, I'm getting a little bit more particular about how I, very gluey fingers, how I lay stuff down. Let's see, do that there. which probably means it's time to be done with it. Because if I'm starting to think too much, then it's probably time to call it good. But it's so hard to stop because it's so fun. But the great news is I'm running out of scraps. So I could tear more out of my book, but these are the ones I picked initially. So these are the ones we're going to stick with. And then I think I've got a couple more left in the pile. Try to use them all. Why not? Many of them are quite small, so they should be able to fit in here. Almost done. Let's see, a nice big opening. Just leave that guy there, this little one. All right, couple more. Let's see, build this one out that way. Oops, more PVA glue. I'm gonna have to wash off this cap. It's getting a little crazy from pouring out the glue. Otherwise I'll go to use it and I won't be able to get it off. That'll be sad, very sad. What else do we have here? This guy. Sure. Yeah, there he is. Fill up that corner a bit. Oops. Make sure I wash my brush really good. The nice thing also is that the various markers that I used have managed to not bleed, which is exciting. I don't even know. I think some of them were Prismacolor markers that I've had since I was a teenager. I've never really used much, and yeah, I have a whole stack of crazy markers that I've acquired over the years, and I really tried to just use them all. So why have them sit around? Oops. All right, a little bit there. Stick that one down. I have one last bigger image like this guy, but I'm gonna keep tearing them apart. It just feels like it needs to be filled in more. I do want to have some open areas because I don't want it to be too busy, but it's also an experiment, so it doesn't need to be super amazing. I love this spiral guy. I'll tear that one out. Find a home for him. Down here maybe? Switch it up so you can see. All right, I'm gonna lay down a little bit of glue to start the initial tack. And then, oops. There we go. I'm going to get those edges to stick. Now, it'll be super interesting because when the PVA glue dries, there will be a different texture than there originally was to this watercolor paper. So it'll be a little bit of an experiment to see how different media reacts to that new surface. So stay tuned for that. Oops. I thought I had one. Oh, there he is. Way over there. I'm going to tear this one. Oops. My fingers are so sticky. They're so sticky. So So it'll be really fun to see how different media reacts to the surface. You know, like how is it going to take marker? How's it going to take, I don't know, oil pastel, whatever else we try. All right, I think we're just gonna, I like this vertical thing happening here. So we'll just stick this one here and call it done. There we go. Oops. Last little bit to go through the rice paper. There. That's awesome. That was so fun to create. Didn't think about it much. Just had fun, intuitively placed down the pieces. We're gonna let it dry, and then the next time I can get down to the art studio, I will re-examine it with fresh eyes and decide where to go from here. So, hope you have a creative rest of your day.